Yeah, so David, we recently started working with a enterprise, B2B organization, lots of business units, been selling, into their market for a long time with, a fairly substantial sales team. And they're trying to roll out an ABM program. Um, First off, like why is this client trying to, jump into ABM?
Yeah, it's actually a tricky question because like I think they already do ABM to a certain degree, like their sales team. So okay, yeah, let me. So it's not really that they want to jump into ABM. It's this classic story of trying to build better alignment between marketing efforts and sales efforts. So in this particular case, sales team is kind of the one who already leads the charge with identifying accounts, prioritizing and tiering them, and then handing that list off to marketing for them to kind of further uh, target and nurture. And that creates some difficulty where marketing is more on a reactive footing, waiting to see what sales provides them. And also they're kind of viewed as almost second tier to the sales team's priorities, where sales team, they know what they want, they're going after it. Marketing, do your thing, and they kind of view the marketing efforts as not really high impact and lower priority, really. So marketing is in this instance, they're really trying to be a bit more proactive, strategic, and high value partners with the sales team, with leading more of starting to do this kind of ABM type thing.
Yeah, and I think another component to it as well is, the buyer behavior. So for this client, there's a particular time of the year in the fall where all of the leads come in and all the sales conversation happens. And rather than trying to, like you said, react to that point in time in the year, what they're trying to do is, you know, keep accounts warm, generate engagement and interest throughout the calendar year, to then support a more effective buying cycle, when buying time comes. So I think there's an element of, you know, using marketing as an account-based marketing as a way to continuously engage and stay on top of target accounts and stay top of mind so that when they are ready to buy, it becomes a much easier process.
Nothing new, but this particular customer is mid transition with a few things. So they've just migrated to a new CRM. They have various levels of adoption within the marketing organization, within the sales organization, of how they use the CRM. Different individuals are using it in a different manner. There's no kind of global rule set, global processes that are being followed. So when we look at kind of what it takes to roll out an ABM initiative at scale, it requires obviously the strategic alignment between marketing and sales, but the data side as well. And probably more important is making sure all of that is in line. So for starters, just looking at where various discovery calls with the customer and the different stakeholders, it became very clear that it will be incredibly difficult to roll a program out company wide at scale. And starting with the data side, like data cleanup, rules, processes, getting that all aligned just does not seem realistic, especially given some of the internal political constraints between the different teams, sales, marketing, CRM team. So by kind of scoping down the efforts in from kind of rolling out everywhere prompt.
All right, all right. So, you know, with multiple business units, with, a lot of different processes and folks in the in HubSpot, um, it becomes too disruptive to the organization to try to roll out an ABM program for everyone. So we start with a smaller scope, right? A pilot. So what are we really talking about with this pilot? Both in terms of like the end goal of it and who's really involved in that pilot in terms of, you know, marketing team, sales reps, accounts, like give me the shape of it.
For sure. Yeah. So, I mean, starting with like the end goal, we want to prove that this concept will work with the customer. So by narrowing it down, uh, only targeting a subset of their current account list, only working with a very small subset of their sales representatives, we're able to kind of without disrupting the organization as a whole as we roll this out, we're able to get all the pieces together at a more minor scale, with the end goal of proving that this works, proving that ABM is a worthful strategy to go after, proving that some of the changes that we want to make within the CRM processes, sequences, things of that nature, work within a very narrowly defined scope and subset of kind of the target accounts as a whole.
So one of the things that everyone talks about in terms of ABM is marketing and sales alignment. So, you know, if this program is successful, um, like what does success look like for the sales teams?
Yeah, I think success looks like sales um, actually respecting the leads that marketing is providing to them. Currently, again, they kind of view it as a second tier. Follow up is can be all over the place when it comes to these marketing fed leads that are coming through. So I think it looks like on a more kind of internal organizational level, increased respect and collaboration between the two, and on kind of a foundational data layer side, I think the reporting, the data model, the structures, streamlined workflows, streamlined follow-ups, things like that.
Yeah, I think, one of the ways to think about it is, the best ABM campaigns are almost invisible to the sales team and take work off of their plate by sort of normalizing the touch points, the sequences, using data to figure out, the next best action and, which accounts and which contacts in those accounts to go after. You're actually taking work off of the sales team's plate if you do this right, and you're giving them better conversations with qualified leads and you're sort of standardizing those processes. And I think with this client, that's really what they're after is, find start with those champions, those sales champions, get them to buy into a standardized process of doing this. And by virtue of that, they're not having to come up with all of the sequences, all of the touch points, everything. And what's happening for them is, better conversations with their target accounts.
Exactly. And we looked at kind of pushing this into the sales organization as a whole, and it's just not going to happen. With the buy-in is just not going to happen. So we want these proof points. We want to actually show them that yes, we can be effective. Look at the success. Some of their colleagues, the sales champions that we're going to include in the pilot, look at the success they've had, and hopefully then we'll be able to reach this end goal of kind of increased adoption within the teams.
So what kind of campaigns are we planning to run for this pilot effort? And how do we make those decisions?
Yeah, so kind of at the get go of this initiative, we did a lot of historical discovery and audits into what sort of campaigns have performed best, Why have they performed best? Why have other things not performed well? And it became very clear and very apparent that this particular product and customers are they it's kind of a tricky one when we're talking about B2B buyers, uh, business buyers buying fairly pricey software. It's a much different buying behavior than like a consumer product or something that is a pretty low ARR, doesn't require organizational shifts, processes shifts, and things like that. So with those examples, things like paid ads, retargeting, getting things in front of people's faces are usually successful. But in this case, it really became clear like it's more the high touch, the webinars in this example that really word of mouth webinars that really perform the best. So we thought it's going to be critical not to shoot ourselves in the foot, and for the pilot campaign do with what historically has performed well. So we're leading with really a webinar led funnel, all the accoutrement that come along with that, landing page, follow-up emails, nurturing things of that nature. But I think it just kind of stresses the importance that you have to look into historical trends, historical campaign data, hopefully within the organization. Potentially you can look elsewhere into various reports, see what works best with some of these target audiences, target markets, and lead with that. Don't lead with what might be easiest, which is spinning up some LinkedIn campaigns, or the most status quo type things, paid campaigns, things like that. That tends to water down these initiatives a bit and might spread yourself too thin. So find the one or two channels that historically are most successful for you, and double down into those.
Yeah. And I think the webinar strategy aligns well with the broader go-to-market or ABM strategy, which is warm up these accounts throughout the year, and that requires a pretty significant amount of education, and making sure that they're problem aware and solution aware before you're trying to sell them. So being able to get those, target contacts at the target accounts in those webinars where they are able to educate them about the problem, is a really important part of their overall marketing and sales approach. So, using the webinar, which has, to your point, been demonstrated to be effective for this client, using that as the initial campaign throughout the course of the year, and really being targeted about that opens the hypothesis opens us up for more effective sales conversations when the buying window opens. So I think that strategy lines up well.
Certainly. And another point I'll add is just the importance of timing,
Yep.
where with these customers and these accounts, there are fairly distinct seasonal buying patterns just due to procurement and budget allocation and things of that nature. And we are very lucky where we're at the point where sales actually doesn't want leads at the current moment. So we're able to take the time to build the campaign, to build the infrastructure for this initial pilot. So in a couple months or a few months, the timing is going to be perfect. So look into seasonal trends. Make sure that when you're, I know people want to do things right now, which is really important, but make sure it kind of aligns with seasonal patterns of your customers.
Yeah, absolutely. An element of well, any customers marketing inbound lead flow is qualification. And like a lot of clients that we have, in historically, this one has got unqualified and sometimes even junk leads coming through their forms and landing pages.
Certainly.
So, I know we've had a lot of conversations and, based on the form work and landing page work that we've done, as part of this pilot to help qualify the leads that are coming in, for, future, for the sequences that we're creating and sales rep follow-up. And we've definitely heard, and I think this is very true, that oftentimes the quality of the leads coming in is more important than the quantity, because that's BDR, bandwidth and prioritization and time, which is expensive and valuable. So, how are we, and how, as we're thinking about this campaign, how are we thinking about, actually qualifying, both fit and intent, through the on-site experience and through the forms?
Certainly. So first, I want to lead with, we often get asked this question where customers come to us, they're getting plenty of leads, but there's so many are unqualified, and we'll talk about some of the mechanisms we put in place to increase the quality of the leads flowing through. But often, and I want everyone to consider this. Sometimes, often we'll implement these for maybe a SMB mid-market type customer, and it's then they start worrying that they're not they look at the incremental lead counts are down, and they kind of freak out. So there are cases where the end goal is qualified leads, but if you're at a certain scale, just get all the leads you can and handle the qualification with the BDR, with the SDR. We've certainly found that to be effective for some of our smaller scale customers. Now, in this case, yeah, this is a large enterprise brand. We have plenty of feedback from sales teams, from the marketing leaders, that they are getting a ton of junk leads, and there's a lot of manual qualification that occurs that are very simple parameters that can be automated in that. So the approach that we most often recommend is building qualification into the form experience. And there's a couple of reasons to do this. The first is by, I wish we had a kind of visual to show this, like our interactive multi-step form experiences. But we're able to chunk the form up, add multiple choice questions that contain qualification within them. For example, maybe a certain team size is an important parameter for you. So we can collect that data within the form. It's part of a streamlined multi-step form experience, so users kind of want to go through it. We're removing friction from the experience, and they're able to go through it.